Hello and welcome to another video. So we are going to do a trailer breakdown today. We do have the new expansion, Omen of the 10, as you can see on screen here. It is fairly interesting looking. A lot of the characters, well pretty much all of the 10, are actually Shadowverse original characters, so there's not going to be a lot to dig into in the trailer itself. Not until we start looking at individual characters as we go through this and take a look at the web pages afterwards. But overall, it should be at least fairly interesting, so we'll hopefully get right into it and just really kind of check this trailer out as we go. But honestly, it's a fairly interesting trailer just with the way they're going about things. So obviously they kick us off with a pretty clear introduction of all the different omens. Good size comparisons, you can kind of gauge how big some of them are based on the other standard heights. So definitely a nice art style. I feel like this trailer is not as flashy as some of the past ones, but definitely still a nice one. So some of this will play into our discussion, but all of these omens are probably going to be the 10 legendaries for this entire set. They're pretty major before we get any extras. It's really hard to tell where some of these cards will fit just from the trailer, but once we take a look at everything else, hopefully you guys will get a pretty good idea. It's a reasonably short trailer too, at least compared to some of the others. It feels quite short. And so we've seen the first card, which is that Omen there, the first Omen. But it's honestly, the trailer's pretty flashy here. I like this part, but everything else was pretty simple for it. I mean, Omen of the 10 is fairly interesting for an idea. I love the lore that they're building with this, especially with what you'll see next, which is actually pretty sweet. So all the omens here are actually pretty cool looking in design. I like how each one has a really nice design to them. You've just got the Omen of the 1 to all the way up to 10, so this is actually the order of the omens. I don't think the numbering really matters too much outside of 1, as he's kind of important, maybe the 10. But we're going to talk about my predictions or guesses at what each of these Omen cards could be in regards to their, how do I put it, I guess their class structure and where they'll sit. But we know Omen of the 1, at least to begin here. So this is the website. They do have a full website. I'll leave it in the link in the description. You can check it out. It has all of the Omens and everything on it. It doesn't tell us the cards themselves, but it does tell us basically all the lore behind them, which is pretty cool. So now we begin the trials. When the world yearns for evolution, it shall bring forth the 10 omens. Souls will be weighed on the scales of judgment. The unworthy shall be culled from the herd. Only those who claw their way ashore when the flood recedes may hear the glad tidings descend from on high. Descend from on high, that sounds weird. Tidings descend from on high. Weird way to word that personally, but so as you can see, all the omens listed here, you can actually click on them and jump to each one, but we're going to scroll through them casually and just go through them as we do here. So Omen of the 1, I'm not even attempting to pronounce some of these because names can be absolutely shocking for me, but Omen of 1 is one of the few that has a standard kind of moniker to it, which is pretty simple. The first Omen is possessed of faith absolute, desiring a world in which all life embraces individuality and shuns conformity. He shall put the world to trial. He wields the sword of creed, enlightenment sharp enough to sunder the earth? I don't know. From the heavens. So either way, it's not a bad card. It's definitely an interesting one. We have the card here. We're going to take a more in-depth look at that when we do our card reveal, but it is a 6-drop 4/4 and pretty obvious that it's a legendary. They do also have some pretty cool voice lines. So
flock in congregation
listen
and
to them.
Die in isolation.
I'm sorry if that was super loud because I didn't regulate the audio for the website at all, so we probably won't click on any more of these audio links. If you want to check those out, go to the website. As I said, I'll have it in the description below. So the second Omen of, it does list it as Omen of Destruction, but I don't think that's meant to be the case. It might be. Yeah, I think this one's Destruction. There's actually 2 listed as Omen of Destruction, and one I believe is meant to be Omen of Repose, not Destruction, so that's a thing. But there's a little bit of debate on where this card could fit. The second Omen sings Gilly, I don't know, I'm really bad at reading these right now. Anyway, of slaughter, she heralds the trials of destruction, that she may rule the world as its sole idol. Destruction in white and destruction in black. Her 2 icons convert her voice into pure destruction. So there's a bit of debate on this card being either Portalcraft based or being Haven based. I've seen some people say neutral, but I don't feel like this fits neutral at all. But all of the lore here that we see, the two angels, black and white, destruction, worship, they all do fit Haven quite well. That's a lot to fit Haven. The real thing that throws me off with these in particular is just the fact they're using a very digital aesthetic to the character's head with the what I'm guessing are the converters for her voice and things like that, which is very Portal design, like an extreme Portal design. So it's very hard for me to say exactly where this will fit. I'm definitely leaning towards Haven with its full lore set, but it does have those Portal markers, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's where it could end up. Plus, there is a couple other cards that are a bit iffy like that too, where they could kind of go either way. So we have Omen, the third Omen, Omen of Silence. So the Omen of Silence, I do feel like aesthetically, lore-wise, he could quite easily fit into the Shadow archetype, just because of its purely its design and lore fits well. The third Omen is that of the Silent Remnant. Resentment, sorry. He imposes the trial of silence so the world may know equality, quiescence. His great scythe, thunderous roar, scatters resentment to the wind and ushers in the madness of the wake. You saw this guy in the trailer a minute ago, and he does have a volcano up behind him and things like that, which seems very like dragon-esque, which is weird. So that's a possibility. I wouldn't completely rule out dragon for this card, but I feel like there's better fits for it. But this definitely, I feel, would fit Shadow at least 95% more than it would fit Dragon. So pretty simple on that one at least. Now another one that I'm fairly iffy on and can't really decide where I would personally place these. Do keep in mind these are just my personal opinions and don't have any bearing on where these will actually go in the end. Omen of Repose, so they actually did fix this. I'm pretty sure this one was the one that was listed as Destruction earlier. The fourth Omen tells of the eternal rest, the trial of repose will sting the world into sleep forever, unbroken. Those pierced by his 4 spears, the saviors will abandon all endeavor, never again to resume. So he obviously, first thing you probably notice, he has a dragon head. That obviously puts him dragon, right? But honestly, yeah, it doesn't really fit that at all to me. Looking at his design, he's got a very monkey aesthetic, but at the same time, I did listen to his voice quotes and stuff like that, and he does have a very Rune kind of vibe to him as an overall character. Monks can kind of fit into Rune as well as kind of a magical, sort of enlightened type character, which could fit fairly well. So at the moment, I've got to say I'm leaning towards a couple of options. One being Rune, as that seems like a pretty big possibility. But I could also see this card fitting into a dragon, just because of how it kind of looks. I mean, you can't go past how it looks. So Rune or Dragon is kind of where I'm sitting on. I don't know whether that's entirely where I'll go, but obviously Haven is again another option, being quite enlightened and higher up and having the whole slumber aesthetic to it. So I'm just really iffy on this. I feel like if I had to put this in any class, it would probably be Rune, just because I feel like that's where I could easily slot it in and go, okay, that kind of makes sense. Rune has used dragon kind of types in the past, so it wouldn't be the first time I've had a dragon in Rune. But then, I mean, it's just, I don't know how to feel about number 3. It's just such an iffy card overall. So, Omen of Disdain. So, I believe this is the 5th Omen, and obviously I've stuffed up the order, because that's actually the 4th Omen, because that was the 3rd, so that's fine. Either way, you guys get what I'm talking about, because obviously they're all on screen here, which makes them fairly easy. So, the 5th Omen wields the claws of heaven, desiring to burn the world she so desires. She tasks it with the trial of disdain, all that her claws, total domination. Rend is reduced to ash. So, there's a few things. This could fit blood. It does have a kind of bloody aesthetic to it. I could see that happening. But more so, I think this is probably where Dragon sits. This is why the other cards, I don't quite think they fit Dragon as much as this one. Mainly because, firstly, they mention claws. Very Dragon thing. Claws are an extreme case of Dragon. So overall, I would definitely be putting this in Dragon, just based on the few facts there. I mean, even her art style can kind of fit Dragon quite well. I mean, she's got quite a glory kind of aesthetic going for her, and that would work out quite well. So with the next one, we actually have probably the most obvious one out of all the Omens personally. Omen of Unkilling. So the 6th Omen brings eternal purgatory. The bringer of the trial of Unkilling reveres in the world's endless anguish. His arrows, the mark of the 6, inflict suffering without suffer. I don't know. I also like how they mentioned the mark of the 6, so maybe they actually will have something to do with it, the actual numbers. Like, I mean, that could make sense. I mean, the last one had 5 claws, like 1 for each finger on each thing, so maybe, I don't know. Either way, though, pretty obvious this will be forest. I mean, arrows, archer, elf, all those things kind of fit together way too well. If you put this in any other class, I would just be like, why? Why was it in there? So I think that one was a little too obvious, personally. Then we have the Omen of Lust. So this is one that some people were like, this may go in Dragon as well. I don't know why people thought that, but personally I think this will be Blood, 100%. The 7th Omen is the ruler of destructive love. The trial of lust will meld all life into one breathless whole. With her embracing wings, she will engulf the teeming masses and drink their life force dry. So one of the main key phrases here is drink their life force dry. I think that really keys into Blood heavily. Lust also being a very big theme around Blood. Just look at most of the legendaries that are females. They're nearly all lustful in some capacity. I mean, Belphegor, Queen Vampire, all those sort of things, pretty much, you know, lust intensified. That's the idea of them. Blood Mary even, you know, all of those. I think this could fit really well with that theme. Then we have 8. So, Omen of usurpation? I don't know. The 8th Omen reveres one only to waste its spoils. The trial of unspiritual... Wow, I really don't like these words at all. Like, they use such words that I'm having a lot of difficulty pronouncing. Anyway, will wrest away all possession, material and immaterial, once entwined by her serpentine blade. Complete the utter loss is all that awaits. So, complete and utter loss, yeah, okay. This is one of the few that actually mentions the weapon being, in particular, a blade, a serpentine blade at that. Also, the way that she kind of goes about things with this seems very sword-like. I mean, her art style isn't extremely sword-like unless she is based on an assassin ninja, which can fit sword quite well, as they do have that kind of aesthetic going for them, especially with the latest kind of storyline stuff that's very assassin-based. So I think, overall, this is probably the best fit sword. Serpentine blade makes perfect sense. I couldn't really see it fitting in anything else too perfectly, but I think this one would do wonders there. Then we have number 9, Omen of Truth, Rayo. So this is one of my most awkward ones, personally. The 9th Omen speaks of hidden Vertilis, I don't know, I'm really bad at this right now. The trial of truth will bring to light humanity's deepest, most authentic nature. The gleaming blade of his honest cohort slit open life, reveal its beating heart for all to see. So some people are trying to pace this with Rune, mainly because like learning and teaching and things like that, where personally I'm almost leaning towards Portal. While I think number 2 has a chance to be Portal, I think it's definitely heavily leaning to Haven, so I would say this could quite easily be a Portal card, as it's got the blue aesthetic that fits nicely with the Portal theme, especially considering the main guy. The main Portal guy, I'm really bad at remembering names, but you should all know him. He's the main character, the dimension hopping guy. He's all about truth and ideals, and the fact that he can try and reveal everything to the characters, and I think this guy fits that theme perfectly, down to a T. 100% fits that kind of theme going for him, especially considering the blue aesthetic he's got, so definitely could work. Although, of course, I wouldn't completely discount the fact that Rune could use this. The blue aesthetic, again, fits Rune pretty perfectly as well. They're both quite blue classes. He also seems to be using magical kind of daggers, which could fit that as well, so I definitely wouldn't count Rune out. I would just say I'm leaning a little bit more to Portal than Rune for this card. Then the last and final card, number 10, the 10th Omen rules over all appetite. In her hunger to consume the world, she brings to bear the trial of craving. The crystal hovering around her are teeth to grind the bones of heaven and earth, that she might feast upon the marrow. So, we've seen the Omen of 1. This is the 10th Omen. The 10th Omen is the Omen of Craving, so it's not listed as the 10th Omen like the Omen of 1 is, which I would have preferred. It would have made this much easier, but I am slightly leaning towards this card. Possibly I want to say, being the neutral that goes along with the other one, as it just seems to fit. 1 and 10, both being complete opposite sides of the coin. This one wants to basically consume the world and pull it all together and make one ultimate kind of thing going around for her, so like feasting, while the other guy wanted to celebrate individuality and make sure that that was the key point So I think having these two be two sides of the same coin, especially considering in the trailer that we seen just a minute ago, it was all about their conflict and their final battle being the big kind of climax. So it would definitely fit if she continued to be a neutral. But I will be the devil's advocate and say she definitely does have a very Shadow-esque theme. Some people have also mentioned Portal because of the orb sort of thing going around her, which I guess could work out. Also, she seems very similar to Nexus in a way, so maybe she's a keeper. That's always possible. But I'm just not really settled on any of those. It's possible these are all keepers. That's been mentioned as a possible theory as well, and I definitely wouldn't discount that entirely, as that could work out. I mean, Nexus was Serenity, so maybe there was 11 Omens and Nexus was destroyed, or because she hopped dimension, more likely, I don't know, who knows. Maybe these Omens are servants. I really have no clue in regards to exactly what they'd be, but considering they talk about the Omens being trials, it's possible that these guys are servants. It would make sense if they were servants, but that's all theory. Who knows? Until we have all the information, it's going to be hard. It's nice to see Shadowverse get its own lore set, though, which is really quite entertaining to see. So hopefully we'll be able to see more things like that in the future, and hopefully Omen of the 10 ends up being quite a nice expansion. We will have, obviously, card reveals coming very frequently, and we'll be covering those once we have about every 10 or so cards. That way I can cover them in bulk lots and not have to worry, and that only makes about 9 videos for you guys instead of, being ridiculously big. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It wasn't too much of a trailer breakdown, as the trailer just wasn't much to break down, being original characters. We can't look into the Rage of Bahamut lore for anything from that. So if you did enjoy the video, hit the like button and subscribe. Keep up to date with Omen and Omen of the 10, and you'll see what happens come the end of the month. So till next time, see ya.